o'clock. This finance feature is brought to you by Stanlib Asset Management. Invest in more. And today we are chatting in our finance feature about goal-based investing, how it can help you reach your future financial goals. We're joined by Stian De Witt, Executive Head of Financial Planning at NMG Benefits. Stian, thank you so much for joining us. Please tell us, what is goal-based investing?
Good afternoon, Relebogile. Goal-based investing, the best way I can describe it is, winter we're in winter now, and it's very difficult for you to get up in winter to go and train and exercise because it gets snuggly and everything. But the moment you go and say, oh my goodness, summer is coming, I want to have a beach body, so I have a goal, I'm going to train for something, so it's a lot easier to get up if you have a goal. And the same with financial planning. If you have a goal and you decide where you want to go and why, that's the first step. And then decide, okay, if I want to get, let's say, for instance, I want to buy a car or I want to save for a deposit for a house. You set a time, you set a date, you set the amount of money that you want to have, and then you work backwards from there to say, okay, what must I do in order to get there?
And you start putting the stepping stones. So let's use a hypothetical example where we say goal-based investing. Let's maybe talk about something. Let's say I want to go to Japan next year and I want to go for a month, and I know it might cost me, let's do a round figure, 100,000 Rand.
Yes. So when you do goal-based financial planning, when your listeners talk to a financial, I'm going to give them a tip or a hack. You tell them that the term we use for this in the financial term is asset liability matching. So what it means is you go and you say, okay, I have this goal for Japan, and let's say argumentatively it's 100,000 Rand. So if you divide that between in 12, you're going to get plus minus 8,500 Rand a month that you need to save. But now the question is, when do you need to access that money? And why is this important? There are what they call different asset classes, like you can go to the stock exchange, you can go in a money market, you can go into property. There's different. You can go to Bitcoin if you want. But the question is, we want to access that money, and then volatility risk I'm taking. For instance, if you went and you said, I want to put all my money in the stock exchange because I want to make as much money as I can in the next 12 months. But we know if there's a crash in the market, we've seen it takes anything between 24 and 36 months to recover if you have 100% of your money in equity. So it doesn't mean that you lose your money. It means when you access the money, the value is down. So if you go to a gold going to Japan, you would typically go to something with a little bit less volatility. Yes, you might not get your 18-20% growth on a portfolio, but at least you're going to get your 8%, maybe 10% if you have a combination of what we call bonds and cash or money market. So your length of or period of time of when you want the money also determines the level of risk. And by risk, I'm not meaning losing your money. I'm meaning about volatility. And that's very important when we look at goal-based financial planning.
And I hope you picked up on the fact that the reason I chose a trip as an investment is because investing in oneself is also important, right?
Absolutely. All play and all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
I absolutely love that. All right. And then just in terms of what else listeners can do for them to start thinking in the way of continuous goal-based investing.
So one thing I think is very important, and we at NMG Benefits always promote that, and it's not that you typically, want to go, but talk to a financial planner, talk to someone professional when you do, because another thing to keep in mind is what is your risk profile and what's your appetite of risk you can take. And there are psychometric tests you can actually do that will help you with that. That's the first thing. The second thing that is very important is start small. Start with something. Don't have this grandeur plan of saying, in 3 months' time, I'm going to start saving. Start with something small and let it trickle. Susie Orman uses a term where she says, pay yourself first. So what she means with that is go and put money on a debit order or get it in. Don't go and say, okay, I'm going to look at my budget at the end of the month and whatever is left, I'm going to save. You automate your process. You start with that. Talk to someone, and there's some great apps out there and some software where you can also go and say, okay, I have this goal, and what type of risk should I take, and what type of portfolio should I be in? Don't go and just put your money in a savings account, because that's not going to, with a savings account, you're guaranteed of two things. You're never going to lose your money, but you're always going to become poorer.
Oh my gosh, because it's not growing and it's not working for you.
Inflation is going to eat your money.
And I think that's such an important lesson for us to learn. If you check some of our previous finance features, you'll be able to also see and note how what the difference is between saving and investing. Stian De Witt, Executive Head of Financial Planning at NMG Benefits.